Hello Aces, welcome to the 2017 E3 trailer analysis for Ace Combat 7. I guess no one was really expecting the trailer to come out a few days prior to E3, but hey, here it is. So in this analysis, let's start with an audio analysis first, and then we're gonna go to the visual. I suppose everyone has watched this trailer many times, but let's watch it once more with me commentating on the audio parts that are, I think, a little bit significant towards the story of the game.
I'm curious to know, does the color of the sky matter to you?
Many trailers start with that nonsense dialogue until you fully understand the story of the game, so in Ace Combat 7 it is, does the color of the sky matter to you? I've been playing so much Ace Combat 0 recently, I can only take it as, does the faction that you fight for matter or something like that, but I don't know yet.
Declared war on the Osean Federation.
Then again, we get to know that Erusea was the one that declared war on Osea, but I like how it sounds more like a journalistic kind of dialogue, not a direct character-to-character dialogue, and you're gonna see more of this approach later on in the trailer.
Osea launched a major attack against the capital region, striking Farbati from their aircraft carrier and the Kestrel II warship.
This is when you realize things have escalated quickly and you have Osea bombing Farbanti, the capital of Erusea, and interesting to note that he mentions aircraft carrier and the Kestrel II warship. So I really got thinking, is the Kestrel II a carrier? Or like a missile cruiser or a battleship or something like that? Maybe the Kestrel is not a carrier, but it should be the Kestrel II, right?
Thank you. Are there any drones? Verify.
And the way I understand this is that the pilots are not really worried about manned fighters, but instead just UAVs. They are the real threat in this conflict.
The Erusian Air Force has occupied the International Space Elevator.
Just like they occupied Stonehenge in Ace Combat 4.
This is Princess Rosa Cosette Delise. Osea attacks indiscriminately and has remorsefully injured countless innocent civilians.
First things first, I like my new waifu's voice. And second thing, are you really blaming Osea for the war you started? Or what's the story in here?
It's hard to say which side first pulled the trigger that plunged us into this chaos.
But if Erusea did declare war, and you're saying which side pulled the trigger, then what did Osea do to trigger this war?
At this point, who cares? All that remained was chaos and confusion.
I wonder which path you would choose.
Did she just say path? Man, I love paths. Is it our Ace Combat X style or Ace Combat 0 style with the Ace style? Maybe we can get a path? Maybe?
Burn Osea to the ground.
Oh, maybe that's the one path she chose and we don't get to choose a path.
Trigger, engage. I managed to catch a glimpse of the three strikes.
So it looks like our protagonist is gonna be called Three Strikes as his nickname.
I have visual. Arsenal burn confirmed. Engage at will. UAVs won't hesitate to kill. No way I'm dying out here. Don't worry. Stick with Trigger. You'll make it. Not really. All aircraft caution. Bogies. I won't know for sure until I tested them myself.
You're not gonna know for sure until you test it yourself? Are we talking about a new manned fighter? And is that Mihai's voice? The last thing I'd like to mention about the audio is just the soundtrack. It feels epic. And I guess a different style. I'm not really good distinguishing music style, but it feels epic. It has like that core look, so it kind of similar to Ace Combat 5, Ace Combat 6-ish. But not exactly. Alright, so that was the audio analysis, but as you might have noticed, there are more questions than answers, but I'll leave those to you to discuss in the comment section. Right now, let's take a look at the visual clues in the new trailer. First thing I'd like to mention is just, it is a nice presentation in the beginning. You see the three different layers, the blue sky and the two like land layers with the F-104 taking off, and I think Ace Combat in terms of presentation is just awesome. Just after Project Ace's logo, we see a couple of craters. The first two initially probably Ulysses crater, you know, see the big circle, and following the same format we see Stonehenge, and you can actually look it in the middle. You can see the jammer is still destroyed, so you know the legacy of Mobius 1. But the turrets, I'm not really sure. They are supposed to be destroyed, but they kind of look like they're pointing how they're supposed to point. And I'm not really sure, but it looks like it's destroyed so far. And following that, we have the inside of an engine, probably I think an F-16 engine, since it's shown right after. And I kind of confused that in my first reaction, because I was thinking too much like Star Wars, like the Starkiller base. But yeah, that's too much Star Wars for me. It's just an engine. Don't overthink it. Next thing we see is the Hercules. So it's quite the interesting aircraft. You can use it for aerial refueling, transport, dropping parachute units. So a nice plane to be featured in the game with many applications. Of course, we're not going to be flying it, but we never know how it's going to be used in the game. Alright, next thing is the F-35 preparing for launch in an aircraft carrier. I would just like to point your attention not to the F-35 itself, but to the background. Most of the aircraft featured on that aircraft carrier are F-18, so it looks like OSEA has not yet modernized its whole fleet to, stealth aircraft. Still, the bulk of its naval air force is the F-18. Hopefully we'll get some aero refueling missions. Alright, now to the destroyed city, and that's not for a bounty. I have evidence from this trailer that this city, the one located around the space elevator, is not for a bounty itself. You're gonna see later on in this video, or you might as well have checked my Where is the Space Elevator video. Also note the little white birds flying around the city. Alright, finally it's time to take a look at the map, and as you can see, it seems like Erusea took almost all of Usea again, and you can see a tower of light on the left side. I think that indicates exactly where the space elevator is located, right close to Axel Bay, and that confirms that the space elevator was actually in the area where I was expecting it to be from my Where is the Space Elevator video, as you can see on the southwest part of Usea. And yes, there's another map coming out from the space elevator. It looks like there's this range. Maybe the space elevator has some strategic implication that's the maximum range for it. But on the bottom there's a little aircraft, and I think that symbolizes the Arsenal bird, and maybe that range represents where the Arsenal birds are protecting the space elevator. And if you take a look on the right side, you can also see that the range goes further into the division between the Erusian controlled areas and the Osean controlled areas, I think. So I'm guessing that's how the story is gonna start up, with Erusea taking over that area with their superior fighter power with the Arsenal birds. Next we have the cutscenes, and they just look wonderful, very high quality. I just like to mention that. We can see the F-104 dogfighting with an F-15, and I was thinking the F-104 was gonna have more of like a flashback story, not really into the conflict because it's not a modern fighter, but looks like we're gonna see the F-104 in action. After that we see more craters and a very interesting place that was shown on the previous Ace Combat 7 trailer, which is the Stone Forest, which is actually based on real life. There's an actual Chinese national park that is called the Stone Forest Park. And of course I have to mention the dog. Look at him! He looks so cute. He looks better than Kirk from Ace Combat 5. Next thing we see is the prisoners again, and it seems like they are arrested on the 444th air base belonging to the Osean Air Defense Force, which is an interesting number. You can see it looks like the 666 from GALM, but it's actually 4. And if you think about it, in Japanese 4 means deaf, so you have deaf airbase. And by that I just mean the pronunciation for number 4 and the pronunciation for deaf are the same. The characters are different. Those who speak Japanese will understand. After that we have this scientist guy, and then after that we have this old guy sitting there. And it's quite interesting why they're showing this. Is there something hidden there? And I zoomed in quite a lot until I was able to see. You can see the Erusian Air and Space Administration logo on his patch that he's wearing. Then we have this orbital image of Stranger with lots of satellites around the planet. And I just noticed that there's some black dots on the left and right side of the planet. I'm just not sure if they're actually satellites because they're not connected by the lines. So maybe they're satellites, or maybe they're fragments from the Ulysses asteroids, which there actually are in Stranger. There are still some remaining in orbit. But then again, I don't know, it's a maybe. Coming back to that orbital map, we can see that some satellites are being either destroyed or disrupted. And if you take a look underneath the satellite area, you can see that the map actually points to the location where the space elevator is built in Usea. So maybe that's that implication of the strategic capability of the space elevator by disrupting those satellites. On the prisoner girl scene, I also noticed she has a tattoo on her right arm, which kind of looks some kind of wing, but I can't really identify. Maybe it has something to do with the story, maybe not. Then we have this warship in the middle of this destroyed city. I know it's not for Bunty, but we'll definitely get some for Bunty feels in this mission. And of course I have to mention about the red laser, the red tactical laser system, or TLS. Prior we have seen the laser pods on the F-15 on the other trailer. They looked like more of a machine gun type, and I think the red laser is more like a sniper kind of laser that would give more damage to the enemy but doesn't have as much of a fire rate unlike the blue laser. So that's my guess about it. And we also have the Mysterious UAV, which has features quite a unique style with 4 swept wings, 2 tails, and I can't really mention anything because I don't know anything, but some fans have been calling it for its similarities with the Caliburn from other Ace Combat games. Prisoner with the number 44 on his arm, and he's also in the 444th Air Base belonging to the Ocean Air Defense Force. Coincidence? I don't think so. Neural connections between the pilot and the aircraft, so hopefully we're gonna have the coffin system with its story in Ace Combat 7. So this was my trailer analysis on the 2017 E3 trailer of Ace Combat 7. Those are the details I managed to catch, but I'm not perfect, so if you see any other, please let me know in the comments so we can talk about it. And before we finish it off, just stay tuned to my Twitter or Facebook pages so you can see any more updates or details about the trailer. And of course, stay tuned to the channel for more Ace Combat.